another page turning video, this time with some gum. I've got the bubble mint gum and I'm just going to pop a couple of pieces out. I'll probably just take one for now. I'm going to pop a piece in. And today we're going to be looking through a particular book. This book is Van Delver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk. This is a D&D Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition module that I've done a lot of read-through videos of when I've done like no talking reading or something like that. I've been doing this book. I've also done a review, not really a review, but an impressions book, I guess, on the module much earlier in the channel. There's the back. Van Delver and Below. So this book is, if you're familiar with D&D, you might be familiar with the original starter set, which was The Lost Mine of Van Delver. This book revamps that module, kind of unnecessarily in some places, but it also adds on a secondary adventure called The Shattered Obelisk. But this book contains both adventures, the starter set and the new follow-on adventure. So we're going to do just a page turn, flip through the book. I'm not going to settle on anything, I don't think. Maybe make some comments here and there, but ultimately this is just a page turning video to show you the book that I've been for ages flipping through on different videos. So here we've got Safe Handling from Impending Doom in this adventure for the world's greatest role-playing game. Some might disagree with that last part, but there we go. At the back we have the blurb which says, "What lurks below? A beloved town is in unimaginable danger. Whether the heroes are newcomers to Phandalin or returning after the acclaimed Dungeons & Dragons adventure, Lost Mine of Van Delver, they discover hints of a threat lurking below the town. The heroes soon learn that the cult of a malevolent entity has set its sights on transforming Phandalin into the capital of its evil empire. To save the town from oblivion, the heroes must uncover a nefarious plot and confront the otherworldly cultists." So what we can see here at the front page is some goblins, and the beginning of the Shattered Obelisk features quite a lot of goblins here. What's interesting though is the goblins on the front page look nothing like the goblins at the end of the book. In that part of the module, they're just normal goblins, so it's a little bit whack, I can't lie. They've done this. I can't lie. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is the Coast. They are famously inconsistent, and this module is not any different. There are things in this module that just don't make any sense, but there we go. It doesn't really matter, we're not here for the review, we're here for the page turning. So, front page, they've got the front here, the stone here, the name of the book. So we open up, we've got the contents page, the alternate artwork book. It's okay, it gives away who the villains are, I can't lie, but there we go. And then we've got the chapters broken up. So this is the town of Phandalin, some of the people that live there. Which is weird because this is meant to be the manor building in the module, but in the module it's dilapidated. So there you go. There's your first example. So we talk about the beginning, just a little bit about the module. Got some images of goblins, and then what will be the obelisk that is being used in the second chapter. A map of the region. Now, this map is really good in the book for what it is, right? It tells you what the GM, what they need to know. The handout that comes to a lot of these books at the end, you can see I've taken it out here, but at the end of the books, most of these modules now come with a map, a handout map. Unfortunately, the map has all of these hidden locations on it, the player's handout map, and it even says here, look, in the book, one side of the map, one side of the poster map shows the Phandalin regions, including prominent locations in the Underdark where the characters will travel. Oh yeah, sorry. Let's start again. The double-sided poster map is meant to be shared with the players. If the players don't recognise the names yet, that's good. Once they learn in the game where they're headed, they'll realise they've heard the location and can head in the right direction at will. First of all, that's incredibly dumb, because these places are places they definitely wouldn't hear about and would never be on a map. These are like hidden tombs in the ground. This is just a random bandit hideout. There's no way, the reason they'd know. Nor would they know about the lair of a banshee. And of course, nor would they know about the hideout of the fucking clan that they've heard about, nor the castle. None of this makes sense. The miners here, this isn't something that even happens until the sixth chapter in the book. So why would it be on the starting map? Why would the missing miners be on the map right now? In addition to it, chapter 3 is about the players finding the location of Crackmore Castle and subsequently Wave Echo Cave. And yet the map tells them. So if you're saying to the players, hey, this adventure, this chapter is going to be about finding the location of Wave Echo Cave, they turn around and go, well, it's on the map. And you're like, yeah, I know, don't think about it. It's the dumbest thing. That for me was the moment where I checked out of Wizards of the Coast, because how are you going to so stupidly disconnect the fact that the map is being given to the players with all the hidden locations on it, when part of the story is finding the fucking hidden locations. The Wave Echo Cave, no one knows about it. It's, what's it called? The Lost Mine of Phandelver. But it's on every map. Anyway, I digress, because I'm going to move off that, because I'll get heated about it for no reason. Anyway, let's move on. I spent 10 minutes on the first few pages. So we move in, we've got Gundren here, some adventure hacks, get a bit of an image of what happened to some of the NPCs as the time goes on, as they start changing. Silent Goblin here. Got this artwork here of goblins raiding traders on the Sword Coast. Dangerous Journey is the first chapter. Some goblins here in the woods, ambushing. Got the map here. Some of the stuff here have been given new maps, because in the original module there weren't maps for some places. Got a map for a bit of artwork for Sildar there. Some of the goblins, and Clark, the bugbear captain of that area. We've got a bit of the Stone Hill Inn, Harbin Wester. I'm guessing that's Gundren and some other individuals. Trouble in Phandalin, this is the second chapter. This is about saving the town of Phandalin from some stuff that's going on. The Red Brands are there doing some bad work, and they've got to defeat the Red Brands. A thug group hiding out in the cellar of a manor up on the hill. A bit of artwork of some of the skeletons on the inside. Got a Nothic. Some of the goblins, Sonic Goblin here. It's one of the new creature types. You've got Iono Albrecht, which is the wizard in charge of the Red Brands. He's like the first mini boss, but he's really easy to beat, to be honest. I always give him a few extra abilities. You can see in here the beginnings of like the new methodology of the new monster manual that's coming out, which is that rather than giving slots to creatures, they get certain spells per day. I don't know, I don't really like that change, if I'm honest. I prefer the spell slots, but it is what it is. I'd probably still stick with the spell slots. more artwork at the end of the module was talking about locating Gundren who's gone missing. Now that Phandalin is free from the red brands, and this is a chapter all about side quests with one like main plot thing, which is rescuing Gundren. Got artwork of Agatha. I actually scrapped this quest. I've recently changed it out with a new quest where, if you're familiar with the original module, one of the townsfolk, Sister Graela, a Harper agent and priestess of Timora, asks the players to go and give a comb to this ghost so that you can find out information. I think that is like this is the extent of the quest, by the way. That barely a page of text is the entire quest. I hate it, so I scrapped the whole Agatha thing. Instead, now she is investigating a group of mercenaries who are she believes to be Zentarum agents, and she's gone missing. And part of the side quest is locate Sister Grail. She's gone missing, and so they go up and find her, investigating. And there's a recent quest that got added to Roll20 that I use now, which is basically a hero's tomb. It's a bunch of minor puzzles, because I think that's one thing this module lacks, is good puzzles. So this module, this quest adds in a puzzle for them to solve, different rooms of puzzles, and then some fighting at the end. And yeah, it's a fun little quest. Gives them a chance to do some puzzles and have some fun with that. The same for Old Owl Well. It's another quest that I've changed. I keep it basically the same, except I add on another layer, which is that the Old Owl Well has a ruin underneath it, and the players can optionally choose to work with Cost, the Red Wizard of Thay there, to investigate. And if they choose to do so, they might end up with some magical items and learn a little bit more, foreshadowing the obelisk in the later chapters. And they can learn a bit about it. But I always like to have it that Cost will try to betray them at the end, so they have to fight Cost, who is a pretty high level wizard. There's a lack of wizards in this, ironically, even with Iono earlier on. Then we've got Thunder Tree. Another change that I've made here recently is, if we move back to the map at the beginning, you'll see Thunder Tree's all the way up here. I don't like that, so I know by canon it is up here, but who gives a shit about canon? It's my world. It doesn't really matter. So I recently have started taking Thunder Tree and actually move it down somewhere near here, so that is a few days out of Phandalin, or at least a day out of Phandalin, but it's not near Neverwinter. The reason being is I don't like the idea of Neverwinter playing too big of a role in the game. I've recently had players go back to Neverwinter, and it overshadows the rest of the campaign by a long shot, and I don't like it. So I try to disconnect Neverwinter by putting Thunder Tree down here, because it's just out of the scope of the adventure. So I kind of try to cut Neverwinter out now, because the times that I've run it, it just in all three games it overshadows the rest of the campaign, and players much prefer to go there, and it makes the rest of the adventure kind of irrelevant, I guess. But that's fine. I guess you could add Neverwinter in. By that time they're becoming local heroes. Even in Neverwinter they're being known, but there's not enough content in Neverwinter to really warrant it. But I digress. We move on. So that's Thunder Tree with the green dragon. Otherwise I leave it generally unchanged. Depending on what level they go there, it might make it more difficult. Oh, I do scrap the druid. I don't know, I just don't see any point of having her in there. The artwork of the dragon up there, which hilariously, once again, the artwork completely irrelevant to what the his ruling rather than another bugbear being in charge, having it, changing it, scrapping Thunder Tree altogether, and making the Green Dragon the boss of that level. But it's a very high level boss, you know. Either way, that's that. I guess you could make it a Green Dragon Wormling and then have like still in charge. That would be interesting. Maybe I will do that instead. It doesn't really matter very much though. Either way, actually now I think about it. Oh, I've actually just come up with an idea in this video. I might do that for my next campaign, unfortunately. I tend to run this module quite a lot now, so I'll probably see another one coming up. Right, then we've got Wave Echo Cave, which is like what the end of the adventure would normally be. Got the bugbears hunting the Rockseeker brothers, even though this artwork makes no sense because these guys are like very close here. They're obviously going to attack. That's Gundren. He's not there when that happens, so it makes no sense, but there you go. Then we've got the map of Wave Echo Cave, which I think is bland and boring, so I have recently started using changed maps, including changing the Forge of Spells. This is the Forge of Spells, by the way. This tiny little room. It's massive, like, historical location, and every single time I've run this adventure has been underwhelming. Players have been disappointed, so I've recently started using a new map. I haven't got a chance to use it yet, but I'm going to. And it adds a section on here at the end that makes the Forge of Spells a bigger room, and I'm going to be changing the spider from being up here down here in the Forge of Spells into a three-way battle, a big epic battle to end this adventure. In addition to that, the spider is no longer a drow. I've made it a gith to connect it with the rest of the campaign. I like to foreshadow the next adventure throughout, and the other addition is that the Forge of Spells is fueled by a piece of the obelisk, and that means that later in the chapter, during the Shattered Obelisk portion, the adventurers are going to find themselves heading back to Wave Echo Cave once again, but it's been built up since then, so that'll be fun. Got some images of the spectator there, what would originally be the spider, but I've changed that out. Goblins. And then we move on to the new adventure. This is the beginning of the Shattered Obelisk. It takes place when the players arrive back at Phandalin. I tend to allow a little bit of downtime between, but here we go. So the goblins here, the psionic goblins have been attacking the town. Now these are what the goblins look like, rather than that. Slightly different, elongated, glowing heads. So the goblins have been attacking Phandalin. The people of Phandalin are unhappy. This person here, I think, is meant to be a shifter. Looks kind of creepy. They're rioting because the people have been attacking. We bring in Gwyn, also the dwarven scholar, to basically be the NPC's guide if they get lost, which, I don't know, you can kind of do without that. I would just make it Gundren again, rather than, if I were to redo it now, I would make it Gundren. And I might do that in the future. But anyway, this chapter is all about investigating crime scenes around Phandalin. It's a little bit bland, but if you add more clues in and make it feel more of an investigation, it's quite a successful chapter. But as written, it's very, very bland. Eventually, they'll find themselves being signposted to a place called Zorzula's Rest, which is an old Durgar cavern, Durgar fortress in the mountains, and then they get there and do their first dungeon crawl of the chapter. We're fighting some monsters down here, some mutated Durgar spirits. One of the coolest ones, though I don't have the eyes in here, it's probably in the monster section at the back, is like a giant mechanical drill that's been possessed. Eventually they find at the bottom in the sanctum, which is very cool. Not many moments in this book does it have a dedicated boss room, and I wish the adventures would give more dedicated boss rooms, because this is pretty cool as a boss room. Lava balls or lava waterfalls at the back, and it's a dedicated boss room. They fight Ruxathid, which is the first proper boss. Got legendary resistances. I actually give him legendary actions as well. Only one, but I give him one nonetheless. And then he has like a statue, which is like a shield guardian. They find some townsfolk, find out that there's a map where the goblins have been collecting shards of an obelisk. And that map is here, and it leads them to different locations on the map. They'll return to Phandalin most likely and find a few side quests to break up the dungeon crawling. But it all kind of signposts the idea that there's been some weird psionic energy going on. Then they'll arrive at the location called Tel Hundredth. Now, in the book, there is absolutely no details about how the players get there, what happens, and there's no flavour text. It goes from they obviously leave Phandalin and then arrive inside the tomb. There's no flavour text about the adventure, nothing about the opening down into Tel Hundredth. So I had to write an entire new section. There's not like any like deep content there, but like flavour text about arriving through the Star Metal Hills, anything that happens there, trying to navigate through, and I include a section where they have to like make survival rolls to see if they can navigate the crude map to find the location without encountering random encounters. So that's what I do there. And then eventually some flavour text about arriving at an old withered fortress, stone doors that lead down underground before arriving here. Then we've got Tel Hundredth, which is just a standard dungeon crawl. You can see here where I've bookmark in where we were playing last. I've got a group that have only just arrived at Tel Hundredth. I've actually not run the rest of the module. I've read through it, but I've not actually run the rest of the module yet. I've only just arrived at Tel Hundredth. So we've got some stuff going on in here. There's a Medusa early on in the rooms. There's a cult of the obelisk that they'll find later on, and some drow that are trying to deal with the situation. This is one of the cultists of the obelisk, putting the obelisk symbol on there, the symbol of the cult of the obelisk. And at the end they'll either find one of the obelisk shards before the cult does, or they'll have to leave. Basically, this section has a system built in where basically, depending on how many obelisk shards they prevent the cult from getting, the more powerful the enemies are at the end of the adventure, which in theory is such a cool idea, but the practice of it is very bad. So for example, it says if the players fail, they might reach the room but retreat. It doesn't make any sense. I wish there was a lot more detail in giving multiple options for failure, what that means later on, etc. Whereas right now it's if they retreat from this room, the cult get the fragment and leave. That's it. But it would be cooler if it was if there are multiple avenues for failure here. If they arrive at the location and don't collect the obelisk within 2 days of being here, and don't stop the party that's trying to leave, then they fail. They get away with the obelisk or something like that. I don't know. Not sure, but there we go. Then we move on to the crypt, which is beneath this, which is an old dwarven crypt. Some very cool artwork. The artwork in the book is very pretty. But they'll fight a hydra and a water weird. Then they find part of the obelisk shard held in this central room, and they have to solve a puzzle to open it. It's not an amazing puzzle, but it's at least something. And then we move on to Gibbet Crossing, the last of the 3 locations, which is like a crossroads in the Underdark. And here they'll fight their first Mind Flayer in one of the rooms. This is the first real example that Mind Flayers are behind the cult. And that's that. So, at this point, once they've finished here, as it says here, they find what appears to be a map indicating that beneath Phandalin is an old Illithid stronghold called Illithinok. And here is obviously where the shards have been taken, and it's where they need to go next. They might return to Phandalin, or they might go directly there. So as the book would suggest, the players have to return to Phandalin to go and find the entrance, which is miraculously suddenly underneath one of the tombs. Miraculously underneath one of the buildings they've already been in. I think it's one of the dumbest decisions I've ever seen. So instead, I'm going to have it that the path to Illithinok can be found here in Gibbet Crossing by following this pathway here. So if they follow down this way, they'll eventually descend deeper into the Underdark. And I'm thinking of adding an Underdark hex crawl moment, maybe. I'm not sure about that bit where they might have to navigate the Underdark to get there. I'm not entirely sure if I want to go through that or not, but either way it's going to be from this location, but they can choose to head back to Phandalin. But right now, the pressure is on, and they eventually will head to Illithinok. But there is a moment here called Tunnels of the Deep, where they journey down into the Underdark, and they supposedly come across some locations, which again I'm not sure if I'm going to include, but it's got some cool monsters. It's got a grilled psychic. They might have to fight a bit here, and one of my favourite ones is this cloaker that is mutated with the body of a dwarf. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of cool as well. Eventually they'll arrive at Illithinok, which is the Illithid stronghold, and do this dungeon. It doesn't seem very big, but it's actually got these 3 separate locations. They're like teleportation areas to parts of the far realm. Got some beautiful artwork here. This is a really nice bit of art. There's an infected elder brain here I'll have to fight. And then we've got these far realm rifts, which are those little green things on the map. And then lower into the eyes. Yeah, so there's a few extra little dungeon spaces that I'll have to go through in order to succeed at the adventure. Because they have to get keys to go through a portal, and once they get through this portal, they enter the final chapter. I think it's the final chapter. I'm pretty sure this is the final chapter. Yeah. Final chapter called Beyond a Lightless Star. And this is the part of the adventure where they move into fight the cult proper. So, they may choose to return to Phandalin, and if they do, this is what Phandalin looks like. It is being completely overwhelmed by the far realm. But they return, or they will enter into the briny maze, which is a maze which looks like a brain. And here they might fight a whole bunch of entities. Got some flame skulls here. There's a group of Gith, which actually are going to be connected to the spider in chapter 4. The spider originally was a member of this party, this crash, but got lost. And when they were teleporting, got knocked away and ended up on the on material plane. But here they might be able to align themselves with them. There is actually a crystal dragon that they can align themselves with, along with a bunch of other things going on. They might fight a beholder, and eventually, there's the crystal set of rifts. And this is a purple worm that hunts them. A purple worm is a ridiculously strong creature, by the way, and it hunts them down. At this point, they enter the part of the chapter known as the Endless Void, where they will be moving from rift to rift between these different locations, fighting monsters, trying to rescue the townsfolk that have been taken as sacrifices for Ilvash, the leader of this cult, to this kind of aspect of Lysanthine, Lysanine, the mind flayer god. So they go through these different areas. Some monsters to fight here, and eventually we'll come upon the actual final rift, which is the Ilvash's Anima. And here they will fight the three, possibly stronger, possibly more, depending on how many obelisk shards they manage to collect. And the three cultists of Ilvash, and they'll fight them here. This is the big fight, this is the end of the chapter. However, there is a fight with Ilvash. Now, as the book stands, once the heroes make it to this area and destroy these three, once they've done this, this is where the obelisk is, and they're going to be like, well, here's technically the obelisk, but this is the ritual. Once the heroes have defeated the ritual, this is when Ilvash comes back. Which is a really poor decision, but not even that. They don't even fight him here in this dedicated boss room. They fight the biggest bad in that chamber there. An empty room with a pool in it. It just is so boring. And so, in my humble opinion, this is what I believe should happen, which is that they fight the cultists here, and I think there is like a warping of reality, and I'm not sure how this will play out. I'm still kind of working on this, but I'm thinking of having an even more separate battle arena for Ilvash, where it immediately teleports them to some other location, or as the obelisk is destroyed, however it happens, the far realm explodes, and reality warps, sending them all flying into a different rift, where they have to then fight Ilvash, probably with a horde of mind flayers that will come every round, and it will be like the players are possibly going to die here. This is like a make or break. At this point, Ilvash is pretty OP, so the chances are that they're going to die, but you know, that is what it is. But if they do survive, they get to leave, and then there's an epilogue section, and it talks about a few options beyond the adventure. That the nematode, one of the rifts, in that final portion, that nematode is brought to the material plane, and attacking the material plane, and they've got to defeat the nematode, as the far realm hasn't failed. Like the ritual succeeded to a degree, not in warping the material plane and bringing it to the far realm, but releasing a swarm of far realm creatures on the material plane. There's a second hook, which is that the heroes don't make it back to the material plane, and instead are far realm explorers. They explore the far realm and see what's there to see. And finally is Ilvash's revenge, where Ilvash, because that was only an aspect of Ilvash that they fight, but the actual god is pissed and seeks revenge on them, and that could be up to a level 20 adventure, right? And use the opportunity to take that to level 20 and fight an actual god. But they've got some ideas of is using you could do after that. A little bit more about like going onto the Radiant Citadel and some further reading about the obelisks if you want to do more of them. And then we've got the monster manual at the back, so we'll just quickly go through that. This is a pretty cool creature. There's the drill I was talking about. Flesh meld. Some interesting new mind flayers as well. The Prophet, which I think might have been from a different book, but I can't remember. Then we've got the mutates. Humanoid mutates. Click mutate. Goblins, the oculorb. Not a whole bunch of new monsters, but there we go. But there are quite a few additional creatures or stat blocks, but they're built into the module. Like when they come up, these are at the back because they come up quite often rather than at a certain page where they're needed. And then we've got magical items. Just a few magical items to add to the system here. And then there's just a few other things at the back to keep track. And that is the Shattered Obelisk. So you've seen me read through it on many different videos, and finally you've got a glance through the actual book, what's on the inside, what it is that I've been reading. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video and enjoyed reading through this book. If you want me to do more videos going through different D&D modules, I'd be happy to do so. Some of them I'm more familiar with than others, but I'd be happy to kind of glance through and just like give an overview as we read through maybe. And of course, if you ever want me to do some more deep diving, let me know in the comments, give me some specifics and I'll look into doing them. But for now, that'll be the end of our video. If you enjoyed, drop a like, drop a comment. If you want to see more, consider subscribing if you're not already, press that bell icon. And of course, check the videos appearing on the side of the screen, and I'll see you in whatever video comes next. Take care,